Hey everybody, this is Todd Schmink on Wellness Talks, coming to you from my workout area in my house. This is the strength training area in my home, and I wanted to use this as the backdrop for today's conversation in values. Remember, this whole week I'm going to be playing around with the different types of values, doing some value exploration. So this is values exploration strength, and I'm just going to get into all the different topics dealing with strength and what that actually means to myself and to a lot of individuals that I've worked with. So, the value of strength. This is something I've been playing with for quite some time. I had been listening to an audiobook, and there was a particular quote from the Romans that was basically, strength is the basis on which all other principles, all other values are built upon. When I heard that, I was intrigued, because I was like, well, is that really true? And so I took the time to just play around with that when I was driving around listening to this particular audiobook, and then later on I started to hear this same message in some of the music that I like to listen to, and then in a couple of television shows. And then I am a history fan, and so I went and started to look through some of the doctrine or some of the documentation of the Romans, and found out that this was absolutely one of the things that they found to be the crux of their civilization, of their society, was the element of the value of strength. So let's look at that a little bit further. It's obvious, I've set it up in such a way that I'm utilizing strength to mean the physical strength, the strength in my body, the strength in my arms, the strength in my legs, the strength training routine. And it's because I do value, as one of my core values, strength, that I do have a workout routine. I try to run 2 to 3 times a week. I try to dance or do some kind of cardiovascular every single week. And I, whether I like it or not, I do the strength training component 2 to 3 times a week, and then possibly even yoga just for the actual stretching. Not necessarily strength, but believe me, holding yourself in some of those poses does require strength. Not only strength of body, but strength of mind and strength of will. So strength being something that I value, and like I talked about in the very first video for this week, getting into why understanding your values are important and why it's good to become very specific, is that the more you mull these things over in your head, then your actions begin to become more in line with that lighthouse, with that mountain, that thing that we're focusing on, that value system, that thing which is important to us. Now, every single person has values that they're driving towards, but not everybody is aware of those value systems, which is why we eventually end up in having some difficulty in life when it doesn't match, it doesn't show up. Our value changes, or we're not living up to our values, the things that we really deeply hold dear, and we're not following it any longer, and we become anxious and we become depressed. But here is the exploration with strength. I've already given you one. One is physical strength, the ability for me to be able to move freely, independently, autonomously. Another value of being autonomous, independent. It allows me to be able to do those things, and I do these things without that much thought any longer. The strength training is a feeling. I have to do this. If I don't do this, I become very grouchy. And you can ask my wife or friends, without doing the strength training, it's not a good place for me to be. I need a place to feel that strength, to feel that vitality, to know that I'm alive and moving. It also just helps me with my health, which is where I go to when I am thinking of strength next. Without strength, without a focus on strength as one of my values, I don't take as good care of my body. I know that I should. A lot of people know that they should. And there's where some of the imbalance comes from. You have this, you do value this, it's deep-seated, but it's the action. It's the action that's sometimes the hardest thing to take. It's that first step. It's the strength of the mind, it's the strength of the resolve that allows us to move forward. So when you fully sit and explore, what is the value of strength? What is the full scope of being engaged and moving towards strength? Now you're seeing how this becomes a little bit more complex and why it's important to take the time to sit down and flesh this out for yourself. So for me, the physical strength, being able to pull groceries out of the trunk of my car with very little effort, to be able to run 3 or 4 miles and do that within a half an hour or 20 minutes, to be able to pick up a baby, or to be able to help somebody when they're down, or to be able to just move freely and dance and be creative, be expressive. Creative being another one of the values that I hold dear. Strength pulls me through all of these things. Strength of the mind, we've talked about. Strength when it comes to my health. All of these things are aspects of the value of strength. So the body, being able to move, that my health, being able to eat well, sleep, getting enough sleep, fortifies the body, gives the body the base I need in order to have a strong presence in life. Mind, being able to take the time to constantly be reading, constantly be researching, constantly be updating, constantly be looking within. So the mental state becomes stronger. Without a strong mind, you're just pushed aside. You're not able to be the captain of your own ship. This is my ship. Be the captain of my own ship and be able to move forward and to be able to make a difference, to be able to move towards the other values, the things that I hold near and dear to me as well. But strength, we can continue to go outwards. We started off with something very small, very gross, very all about me and about the body itself, and we moved outwards into the health, so it's a little bit broader scope with that. We went even broader when we bring the mind into it. And we can go out a little bit further. It would also be the strength of my relationships. So having strong relationships with a group of people, my parents, my brother, my wife, my kids, my neighbors, and outwards from there, my associates, the people that I work with, good close friends. And there are other videos that I've been talking about which goes into how to cultivate this and why it's so important. It's important to me because my value is that of strength. Strength of body, strength of mind, strength of conviction, strength of connection, and then strength of spirit. And the strength of spirit is just simply understanding what my purposes are, what's pushing me forward, what makes me want to be out there, what makes me want to do the things I do. My strength of my conviction ties to that, the strength of my spirit, of who I am being in this world. When I'm not being those things, that's when I start to feel depressed. Or I will actually have a physical sensation in my body, which my mind, which is an amazing storyteller, and that's another conversation, my mind tells me a story that the feelings must be depressed, that I must not be going in the right direction. And it's in those moments that knowing what I truly value, getting out there running, getting here on the bench, and getting my workout done, all of those things helps me so that in those times when the emotions do take over, when the sensations feel overbearing, I can act. I can act on those things that I am committed to, those values that I am committed to. That's why it's really important for you to take some time and play around, and that's why I'm going to be playing around this whole week with different aspects. So I'm doing strength today, I'm going to be playing with magic, another one of my favorites. I'll be looking at integrity. I'm going to be looking at a couple others that have come up in session and from a few of the textbooks and articles I've picked up over the years. And that's where I'm going to just keep playing with the whole value system, knowing and understanding your values so that you too can benefit and have what I've seen work for myself and with hundreds of other patients and individuals that I've worked with. I really hope you take the time to write down strength. You can even do little lines off of strength and figure out what are the things that contribute to strength, what are the things that strength contribute to. Play around with that and be sure to check back tomorrow for another one of the values presentations. I hope you enjoyed this. I've loved making this one today. My name is Todd Schmink at wellnesstalks.org.